What's going on, y'all? So on the heels of the whole Ultra Realm situation with the ornaments and stuff like that, I want to touch on something here. I had a conversation there on my comments, and I thought this would be a good video to make. That way, it can help people better understand kind of how the market behavior works and how it can impact, how it impacts the whole gameplay and how it can impact heavily what free-to-play players do versus what people who swipe do, and why and how Ultra Realm kind of pretty much just kind of really effed over free to play players, people who don't play the market for doing like AC scratches and stuff like that. So this will give you a better understanding as we dive into this. That way it can give you a better scope of MMORPGs and how they work in the first place. And you can understand why some of these things are problematic and why I even brought that up in the previous video in regards to the augment market and whatnot. Or if that was in the video, if that was in the comments and whatnot. But either way, we'll go over it so you fully understand. But first, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously. Thank you very much. So as per usual, I'm always commenting and interacting with the community within my videos, and I did get a comment that read as so. So like, we'll go over this, we'll read this, and I want to dive into what I said, what my response was, because it was a pretty long response, and it was worthwhile of a video, so y'all can fully understand it as well. But they responded, I'm actually going to play devil's advocate, but I think it's good for both veterans and new players. As someone who is mostly geared by choice, I think it's nice I finally have a new weapon I can work on. Now, I didn't mention this in the previous video about Ultra Realm, that one of the pros with it, remember we discussed the pros and the cons. One of the pros in it is that it does give you an opportunity to build more weapons. So at least you have this abundance of resources of augments that gives you an opportunity to build more weapons. So that works out great for any type of player, casual, veteran, whatnot, people who have not built weapons for other classes. So that is something that I mentioned as well then. And then they continue, as for people complaining about high-end augment drops killing the market, I think that's a bigger problem that needs to be addressed. Some people play the market too much, and I never like the idea of expensive capsules. And this is kind of what we're kind of talking about here as we keep going, but we'll keep reading. I think the real issue is how stingy they are with Meseta in the game. It's much easier to get EXP boosters and RDR booster than it is for Meseta boosters. It's true. Auto sell is locked behind a paywall, requires a good chunk of star gems per month, and new battle zones offer the same amount of Meseta as lower level and easier battle zones when they should be offering more for killing tougher enemies. Now, PSC zones actually do offer more Meseta in the higher up zones. That actually is not true at all. That actually does offer more Meseta. However, sometimes you're in a higher zone, so it takes longer to kill. So that's why people opt to do a slightly lower zone, because you can kill quicker, so you end up making more Meseta. But I definitely highly agree here with the comment on the paywall on auto sell. Auto sell, y'all, is actually atrocious. How much you have to spend on it. As someone who's free to play, someone who's not premium, it's actually atrocious how much you have to spend on it, because you go down here, you see auto sell for 30 days is 400 SG. In comparison, y'all, a 90-day extended storage is 240, or a 90-day material storage is 720. This is for 30 days. If this were 90 days, hell, even 60 days, it would make more sense. But for 30 days, this is not even like it's. No one is realistically going to get that. It's really messed up. It really locks it out for everyone who's not premium. So it's really poopy on that, bro. How's it that every time I'm making one of these videos, an urgent request message pops up and it's always just screaming in my ear? But at any rate, like also, that's a huge issue. I definitely agree with that 100%. It should not be like that. It should be much more inexpensive. It's for 30 days worth. That is just silly. Like, honestly speaking, that's just silly. And that's a game changer type of thing to have to really enhance your gameplay and enjoyability of the game. It truthfully is. Bro, I'm muting this. Unfreaking believable. But anyways, continuing on here. We've adjusted to the bad game design by relying too heavily on the market to make Meseta quickly, in my opinion. As for if the Ultra Realm is fun or interesting, we can all agree that's a no. It's the same grind we've been doing, but with worthwhile rewards. So why do anything else aside from this, dailies, and Vow? That's correct, that's what we mentioned there. And so I go into detail here, and this is where I really want y'all to listen in and really pay attention to my response here, so y'all can fully understand how this is impactful to the game. and especially the comments such as the augment capsules and the Meseta making, and how people, some people might be upset with how the augment capsules, how it completely crashed the augment market. And I'm going to explain why this is problematic. Not just, this isn't just about, oh, this guy's just over here trying to manipulate the prices for augments and stuff like that. No, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. So my response follows as so. I wouldn't say you're playing devil's advocate, as being able to gear up and try different classes was one of the pros I listed, which directly falls to all player types. So this was something I agreed on, and I mentioned that prior. Now we dive into the bulk of it. The thing with the augment drops and killing the market is that you have to realize MMORPGs are usually diverse in ways that you can make the in-game currency. A lot of times it's finding your niche and doing things that others may not want to do. That's how MMORPGs work, though. This usually leans into grinding something, right? So while destroying the augment market is good for new players and returning players to jump into the game, it has a side effect in that it destroys other gameplay content that prior dropped those augments or materials that people were running to sell and keep afloat. Follow me there. Remember, augments are the main way a free-to-play player can make Meseta, whereas real money users and whales will deal with AC scratches to make their Meseta. The augment market is largely the really most efficient way for anyone who is not swiping to make Meseta. Like you run dual quests and stuff like that. You build these augments, whatever. You sell those, and it keeps a lot of players afloat. It allows players to get to gear. It allows players to buy fashion, all the above. People who don't swipe and play the AC market, which the AC market is completely different. People play that very aggressively and very much manipulate it. But that's they're spending real world money as well. So this really impacts the free-to-play player more so than anything. Per se, the random person who's free-to-play may have found a niche that he or she likes in running dual quests for certain augments, and it was allowing them to gear up or purchase things in the game. By collectively crashing every high-tier augment in the market, you cause the side effect of further erasing content. Because now virtually the only thing that anyone can do is Alter Realm. And Alter Realm is not overly enjoyable for extended periods of time. However, it is the only relevant thing to do. There is no workaround there besides Vile for Ultia Domina. That's really the only other option for really gearing and making a good little living off of doing augments right now. Because the entire markets for everything else were crashed, which entirely erased content more so than it's already erased. That's the issue here. You have now further erased established content or Meseta making methods from the game and truncated them into one zone, causing an influx into the market, which in turn crashing everything. It has nothing to do with augments being expensive. Certain augments are expensive because they take more time and effort to get. But that time and effort keeps someone on the game playing and they enjoy running that stuff. You have now effectively killed that form of income / Meseta for that individual, forcing them into a now saturated market by making it mandatory for them to run Alter Realm, which they may not enjoy, or significantly less than they were able to make before. So now you force these players into running Alter Realm, which maybe they may not enjoy. You completely take away all these other options and force them into a rabbit hole, taking any diversity away. That's more so the issue in that regard to the augment situation. But once again, it's a huge win for new and returning players, as well as rewards the players who never put the time in to actually try to gear. In a way, it's rewarding and lazy. Or in another way to look at it, it's like if you had a child or offspring kid, whatever, and you took them on an extravagant vacation to reward the fact that they would never do their schoolwork and they got held back 4 years in a row. It's essentially the same thing. That's the exact same thing. You're rewarding this, you're rewarding doing nothing with some extravagant, just wow, oh my goodness, overwhelming. This is great. You're rewarding nothing and laziness with this. That's the exact same thing that's going on here. And indeed, Alter Realm is very lackluster and now presents the issue of indeed it and Val being the only two relevant things in the game. The biggest issue there is that Alter Realm largely is not enjoyable for extended periods of time. So you've now forced your player base into a really unenjoyable situation with no diversity options. The complete opposite of what an MMORPG should work as. The complete opposite. An MMORPG is supposed to have different varied ways to play. So this is this situation here, and this is what I want to discuss because it helps to give better insight to y'all. So when I speak on these Meseta, these automates and stuff like that, and the market being crashed, remember y'all, it's not coming from like because it impacts me. Like I don't care about Meseta in this game. Remember, like I like to farm all my stuff regardless anyway, so it's not really a huge deal. But I look at it from the stance of other players and how it's going to impact them and how it's impacting them. Like these prices have been completely slaughtered. So I look at it from that regard. I'm looking at it in the shoes of others, okay? So that's what I try to explain here and try to get y'all to view and perceive and understand why that can be an issue. Because it ultimately cuts off other aspects of playing the game. It ruins other content because now there's no reason to run that content. That person who found that niche, running dual quest or doing this or doing that, can no longer do that because they can no longer make it really feasible income from it that they were making before for the time exchange that they were putting into it. Now they're forced into Alter Realm and into a saturated market. So I hope this helped a little bit to better understand that and explain that aspect of the market and how it connects with the gameplay and MMORPGs, finding your niche and how you contribute to the market and how you end up making your own Meseta, your in-game currency or whatnot, and how that plays out. So hopefully this helped. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. And be sure to like and subscribe. I will see you on the next one. Much love. Holla.
Spike content.